So what can you do with 1 hectare of flax? So 20% of the plant is used for long fiber. So you could make 10,000 bags or say 500 curtains out of 1 hectare. So now we have 81. So see who's the fastest to see how many curtains we can make from these 81 hectares in Friesland and Groningen. And from the rest material, it is almost 80% of all material that is not used for textiles. It is used for insulation for houses or for the panels, and that is 80%. And as you can see here, it is only 20% of the profit for the whole value chain. So the whole value chain earns money, especially from the long fiber. So if we farm for building and construction and interior, we should be aware of also creating a demand for the long fibers, also for flooring or for upholstery. But Sebastian will tell more about this, because then it is interesting for the whole value chain. Are you taking over from here?
Yeah. So just to give you an idea what flax is used for nowadays. So as Eileen mentioned, mostly for clothing, so linen clothing. But next to that, also for in the house. So household linen is, and together with upholstery for furniture, for seats, sofas, but also for curtains, for example, is also a big part of the total use of flax. And next to that, a small part is used in technical and industrial purposes. And there are a few more examples on the next slide. So, for example, you have the seeds that are used, or the oil from the seeds at least, for paint. But otherwise, it's also used, the parts of the flax in composites that are used then for the bodies of cars, for motorcycles, but also in planes. And composites are also used already for building purposes today already. But this is then mostly mixed with non-biological other composite parts. Then a small part about the policy we have in the policy of Europe towards zero emission, where we believe that bio-based products will be an important part to reach these goals. So in 2050, Europe wants to be the first climate neutral continent. So these bio-based materials will definitely play a big role to be able to attain these goals. For 2030, for example, in the Netherlands, there's already the goal to have 30% of the newly built buildings have to contain 30% bio-based materials. In Flanders, it's a bit differently targeted, but also there, all the newly built constructions have to contain 20% minimum of biocircular products. For Europe in general, it's not like a concrete goal to use bio-based materials, but all the new buildings have to be zero emission by 2030. So of course, bio-based material play a big role to be able to attain these goals. That's for sure. I think Eileen will go for the next slide.
Yes, and of course we're very happy that all of these targets are not only by using flax, so it's also for the hemp and miscanthus and also from the polyculture. And like Sebastian mentioned before, we have to see in the North Sea region what is the balance to grow material for food, feed for the animals, but also for product, for textiles, for building. And of course, also we have to live somewhere and we need energy and we also need a lot of space for nature. So this is also a big part within BBoBB that we research also this part, because it's quite something, these goals, and we need quite some land to be able to do this. And how do we do this? On European scale, we look at these local value chains, but we want to have them cross-border. Like now, what we see is all these initiatives that are already existing in the North Sea region. They're very centralized in their own country, which is logic because you have the same policy. But what we are looking at is how can we make steps to make it more a distributed system, so you are less fragile. So if one factory, say in the Netherlands, is broken down, that a party in Germany can pick it up, and also with the harvest, because you have different periods of harvests, how can you also cooperate in there, that if you have say reed or cattail in the winter, that you can use the factories to make sheet material for the interior panels or for the building constructions, and then later in the period the flax and the hemp come, so that you can also use these machines. And also for the flax and the hemp, you need to have it scotched. And now there's a factory in the southern part of the Netherlands and also in Belgium and in France. But it would be very interesting also to have it more in the north. So you can also use the hemp scotching for Germany and Denmark. So from the production part, we're looking at the cooperation within these steps in the value chain. And I've mentioned it before, it was a more simple version of the complete local value chain model. This is also the basics of the design of the whole BoBB project, in how we set up all the activities and the routes, the work packages, is in how to put all these parties together, how to link all the stakeholders, and also how can we create more cooperation between the stakeholders. So what is who are the partners who can provide for the material and the resources? So how can we connect with the farmers, but also the recycle companies? The role of the designers and the architects, because usually bio-based material from Europe is more expensive than if we take it from Asia or from the oil fields. So the story has to be good, but it also has to be of very good quality. So you really can compete with the fossil industry. So the role of the designer and the architects are very important, also for the aesthetics, but also how can you deconstruct it, use it again, and all these parts are the roles for the designers to pick up. And as I mentioned before, with a disruptive system, it's between the production parties and the logistics between them. So this is also a very important part to have more bio-based maker industry in Europe. And also for the education parties, we have to educate the people with their hands and their heads more in the bio-based steps. So we also cooperate a lot also within BoBB with educational institutes, also for the research, but also for the smart hands and heads. So we have also more local employment, and also the role from the entrepreneurs, so for the market, but also for the policymakers. So what is their role in the tendering, being a launching customer to help setting the value chains up, but also in regulations, and also for the market, who are the final customers, and how is the business model organized? Is it in the capitalistic system as we've always been doing, or is it more in a shared version within the stakeholders? So these are interesting steps there. And of course, when the product ends, who is the owner of the material? Can it be repaired? Can it be remade? Are there recycle facilities, or can it go back to the producer that they can reuse it again? So, and then it comes back to the material. So all these steps are working together. And this is what we've been doing within BoBB, to see in each region what are the value chain stakeholders and where do we have missing links, and then can we cooperate cross-border, and to really set this up in action. Each region works together with designers and architects to make it visible what the value chain looks like, and also what could be a product made out of each crop. And here you can see them. And shall I start with the Dutch one, and then I give the floor to you, Sebastian? So within Friesland, we're creating a meeting object with 3 designers, or 2 designers and an architect. And within this meeting object, we will use all 4 of the crops. So you can see what you can use the flax for. So say for the with a long fiber, you can see in the back, you can use an acoustic panel to divide the room, but also for the tables and the sitting elements, how can we use also hemp and cattail and also miscanthus? So this is still a drawing, but the designers have been working hard with all elements. So in this one, it's flax used. And what about in your region, Sebastian? What have your designers been working on?
I just took 2 examples of designers we have in our region who are working with flax. So for example, we have Plastic. They actually experiment with flax leftovers, and just by pressing it, so without using any binder or other additional material, just by pressing it and the amount of pressure, they can actually either work on sound insulation solutions, or with really hard pressure, even building materials out of these flax fibers. And on the other hand, we also have Nathan, who is experimenting with flax and citric acid, but there he's still developing concrete concepts where this material could be used.
And what is happening in the other regions? Because they're not really working on flax, but also on the other materials. Can you? Otherwise, it seems like we're working in Friesland and Flanders.
True. In Denmark, they already quite far in constructing the hemp house. So a house built, I don't know how much percent, but Mette should know that, out of hemp. So as much as possible out of hemp materials. In Germany, they built a container, a learning container, in fact, where they showcase different materials, bio-based materials that can be used in an interactive way to showcase to the big public. And in the north of France, they're experimenting to replace bitumen in asphalt with more bio-based materials. So this is a process that will take a while, but it's a nice start to see that this is possible. Did I forget anything, Eileen?
No, I think it's nice if you're interested, because some, I think, got to know us through LinkedIn, and you're following us, that as soon as all the products are ready with the whole stories behind, we will be sharing it on the LinkedIn. So then you can see the final products which are made, but also with the stories behind and all the value chains. So I thought that'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next step is also for you.
Yeah, I will. We will end with just a question for you then. So we would like to know what your contribution could be to make it possible to scale up the use of Flax in building products, interior applications, or textiles. So we would like to ask you to share your input, either by saying it or in the chat, if you prefer.
Yeah, I think in the chat. So just give the thoughts, like, okay, what could you do as a designer or an architect or from the government or a teacher? What would be your idea? And if you don't think, okay, this is what I could do, but I know someone who could do it, is also okay. So, ideas, tips.
There are no bad ideas.
I work for a municipality, and we try to support the development of the hemp value chain. And I love Flax. I always loved my Flax clothing. And I was just wondering if there are some varieties where you can get the fibers and you can also harvest the seeds for the oil. I think it's difficult to make two different crop value chains, to develop two value chains that do have a lot in common, but are based on two different crops in the same area at the same time. I don't know if you have some reflections on that.
This is also why I mentioned that if a scotching mill could be more northern, then you can also scotch the hemp, also for that you can do both, as well as for textiles as for building industry, because now in the east of the Netherlands and also in Friesland, there is a company who is chopping up the hemp in short bits only for building construction. But it would be interesting if you have a scotching mill, so you can also have the income for the long fiber also from the hemp. And this is what we are starting now, to link these. And it would be nice that the machines, that they also go to the northern part of Germany, so you can do also,
or
and
Denmark.
Yeah. I've been looking. For now, it's we have 500 kilometer radius from for the flax to the spinning mill. And it would be interesting also from the Netherlands to Goldbuxand, where you are. It's also about 500 kilometers. And it would be interesting to have more industry within this region, because normally it is 12,000 if we go more to Asia, where a lot is happening. And now, so we can see how we can bring this further. So I think we can go to the last slide and thank everybody. And please be in contact with Sebastian and me.
Yeah, we have our email address on the last slide.
Yes, here we are. So if you want to be in contact, just follow us on the LinkedIn or add the email addresses to us. And please join our network, because we still need a lot of steps. And also if you have any questions later, or you want to know more, or you want to have the presentation, then please send us a mail. And looking forward to be in touch. So thank you all.
Thank you for your participation.